On the run, after narrowly escaping the nuns and the devil at the convent, Maria knew that she could never stay in one place for too long. She packed a few belongings and fled the village, traveling from place to place, always looking over her shoulder. Maria took odd jobs to survive, working as a waitress, a cleaning lady, and a farmhand. She kept to herself, never staying in one place for more than a few weeks. She knew that she was being hunted, and she couldn't risk staying in one place for too long. Despite her best efforts, Maria could never shake the feeling of fear that had settled in her bones. She was haunted by the memories of the dark ritual at the convent, and she knew that the nuns and the devil were still out there, waiting for their chance to strike. As the months turned into years, Maria became a master at staying hidden. She changed her appearance frequently, dyeing her hair and wearing different clothes. She avoided crowded places and never stayed in one place for too long. But no matter where she went, Maria knew that she could never truly escape her past. She was always looking over her shoulder, always on the run. One day, as Maria was walking down a deserted road, she heard a noise behind her. She turned around to see a group of nuns standing in the distance. Maria's heart began to race as she realized that she had been found. Without thinking, Maria took off running. She ran as fast as she could, her heart pounding with fear. She could hear the nuns behind her, their footsteps pounding on the pavement. Just as Maria thought that all was lost, she saw a car coming towards her. It screeched to a halt, and the driver shouted, "Get in." Maria didn't hesitate. She jumped into the car, and the driver sped away. Maria breathed a sigh of relief as she realized that she had been saved. As the car drove off into the distance, Maria knew that she could never let down her guard. She was still on the run, still being hunted by the nuns and the devil. But for the first time in a long time, she felt a glimmer of hope. Maybe, just maybe, she could find a way to defeat her enemies and finally put the past behind her. The nun returns. Despite her best efforts to stay hidden, Maria knew that she could never truly escape her past. The nuns and the devil were still out there, hunting her, waiting for their chance to strike. One night, as Maria was walking through a dark alley, she heard a noise behind her. She turned around to see the nun who had brought her into the convent standing in front of her. Maria's heart began to race as the nun grabbed her arm and dragged her back inside the convent. Maria struggled and fought, but the nun was surprisingly strong. Inside the convent, Maria was brought before the other nuns and the devil. Maria could feel the energy in the room growing more intense as the ritual began. She knew that she was in grave danger, and she tried to summon the strength to fight back. But her efforts were in vain. The nuns held her down, and the devil's energy grew stronger with each passing moment. Maria closed her eyes and prayed for deliverance, but she knew that it was futile. She was trapped, and there was no escape. As the ritual came to its climax, Maria could feel the devil's power surging through her body. She screamed in terror as the devil claimed her soul. When Maria opened her eyes, she was lying on the floor of the convent. The nuns were standing over her, looking down with a mixture of fear and awe. Maria could feel the devil's energy still coursing through her veins, and she knew that she had been changed forever. But this time, Maria was different. She was no longer afraid. She knew that she had a power within her that the nuns and the devil could never control. She stood up, facing her enemies with a newfound confidence. Just as the nuns and the devil were about to attack, Maria unleashed a blast of energy that sent them flying backwards. She knew that she had found her strength, and that she was finally ready to face her enemies head-on. As she fled the convent, Maria knew that she could never truly put her past behind her. But for the first time in a long time, she felt like she had a chance. A chance to fight back, to take control of her life, and to finally defeat the nuns and the devil once and for all. The final confrontation. After her encounter at the convent, Maria knew that she could never truly escape her past. Though she had found a new confidence and strength within herself, she knew that the nuns and the devil were still out there, waiting for their chance to strike. One day, as Maria was walking down a deserted street, she saw a group of nuns standing in the distance. Her heart began to race as she realized that they had finally caught up to her. The nuns grabbed her and dragged her back to the convent, where the devil was waiting for her. Maria tried to fight back, but she was overpowered. The nuns held her down as the devil spoke to them in low, guttural tones. Maria knew that she was in grave danger. She could feel the energy in the room growing more intense as the ritual began. She summoned all of her strength and tried to fight back, but it was no use. The nuns were too strong, and the devil's power was too great. As the ritual came to its climax, Maria could feel the devil's power surging through her body. She screamed in terror as the devil claimed her soul. When Maria opened her eyes, she was lying on the floor of the convent. The nuns and the devil were gone, and she was alone. Maria knew that she had been changed forever, but she also knew that she had found a way to defeat her enemies once and for all. With a newfound sense of purpose, Maria left the convent and began a new life. She traveled the world, seeking out other people who had been touched by the devil's power. She helped them to find their own strength, and together, they fought back against the darkness. In the end, Maria knew that she could never truly put her past behind her. The memories of the nuns and the devil would always haunt her. But she had found a way to use her experiences to help others, and that was enough for her. She knew that she had finally found her place in the world, and that she was ready to face whatever challenges came her way. The escape. After her final confrontation with the devil and the nuns, Maria knew that she was marked. She could feel the darkness following her, always lurking just out of sight. She knew that she had to stay on the move, always looking over her shoulder. For months, Maria traveled from place to place, never staying in one place for too long. She took odd jobs to survive, always keeping a low profile. But no matter where she went, she knew that she could never truly escape her past. One night, as Maria was walking down a deserted street, she saw a group of nuns standing in the distance. Her heart began to race as she realized that they had finally caught up to her. Maria turned and ran as fast as she could, but the nuns were too fast. They chased her through the streets, their eyes glowing with a dark energy. Just as Maria thought that all was lost, she saw a flash of light in the distance. It grew brighter and brighter until it enveloped her, lifting her off the ground and carrying her away. When Maria opened her eyes, she was in a hospital bed. The doctors and nurses were staring at her in amazement, unable to explain how she had survived the attack. But Maria knew the truth. She had been saved by a higher power, a force that was far stronger than the nuns and the devil. She realized that her only hope was to make peace with her maker before it was too late. Maria devoted the rest of her life to helping others. She traveled the world, spreading the message of hope and love. She knew that the darkness would always be out there, waiting for its chance to strike. But with her faith as her guide, Maria knew that she could face any challenge that came her way.